You are listening to the Gemini Legal Podcast focused on California workers' compensation industry and the faithful practitioners. We are live at the California Applicants Attorneys Association Winter Convention in beautiful Rancho Mirage. I am Dan Mora. I am not an attorney, but I am founder and CEO of Gemini Legal. We are a legal discovery company focusing on California workers' compensation. My guest today, I'm very happy to announce Kristen Chavez of Work Comp Central. Kristen is the CEO of Work Comp Central. Do I have that right, Kristen?
CEO and President.
Okay, welcome. Thank you for participating in this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we're really curious about what Work Comp Central is all about. Maybe you can talk about the vision and mission of Work Comp Central.
Okay. Yeah, so we have been in the industry for 20 years. David was our former CEO and president. As we all know, we lost him in July of 2016.
Yeah, very sad.
It was. And, the industry felt it. He was that much of an icon. But his mission and vision was to create a resource that would help the industry and benefit the injured worker, and create a resource that everybody comes to. It's kind of seen as a legal California resource tool, but the mission and vision is to hopefully change it to be a resource tool for any industry professional, doctors, insurance, legal. Because if they're efficient and they're able to have access to resources, then it makes it more efficient. Mm-hmm. But our mission... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, our mission is to create something that will really impact the industry to benefit the injured workers, across the nation, not just the stakeholders, but essentially the injured workers as well. Well, they're a stakeholder.
Right. So, yeah, and it takes all of us. This is such a complex and system that we all have to navigate. And Work Comp Central in their role is what? A connector? Is that kind of how it would...
Yeah, it's a connector. It's a way that is unbiased. It's not going to just lead towards one thing. And hopefully, again, put something at everybody's fingertips so that it's creating... I'm trying to think of the word, but I can see it in my head. But it's creating something that will... The unbiased, I think, is always the big thing. Depending on who you're talking to, we're seen as we're biased to the other side. But the goal is to not be.
Gotcha.
And that's how we keep our news product separate from headquarters. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but none of our reporters are on site. And that helps when it comes time to... a deal. It can't ever say that, well, Kristen pushed it through or ran that story, or anybody, not just Kristen, like a salesperson, like, hey, I really want this. Can we do X, Y, and Z for client X, Y, and Z? It's, the news run what they need to run. It's news. It's factual. It's, not just something that's made up. And we take great pride with our news product, that it's not biased. It's not... can't be controlled by, headquarters or a person in it. So it makes it difficult, too, on the side of being the face or because, sometimes news isn't favorable to, certain stakeholders, but it makes it,
Right. Well, and I have to commend you, and I agree. And my observation is that the news has been very neutral. Mm-hmm. And I know your editor, and he's a great guy, but he is absolutely focused on journalism as an independent piece. And I think that you've done you have that history, and you continue to carry that forward. And it's really good. Yeah. But at the same time, you're trying to advocate for, this system is designed to deliver benefits to injured workers. So the better we can do that, the more educated the industry is, the better, the better the injured worker experience is.
Yeah. And even with so there's some injured workers that, not that some don't care, but there are some that actually want to know how their case should be being handled, or are they being led in the right direction? So we'll give them free subscriptions. Like if an injured worker contacts us and says, I'm an injured worker, but I'd like to know, we'll give them a free subscription, because knowledge, as we know, is power. If they know what's supposed to be going on, or they're, have questions and they're being answered and they feel empowered, then it's just an all-around better experience for everybody involved. So that's really what Work Comp Central is about, and really working even with the injured workers to empower them, engage them in their cases.
Yeah. How do you see Work Comp Central evolving in the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Really creating a lot more resources, or connecting, like you said, maybe becoming a connector of different resources, different companies, educating them on what everybody does. There's a lot of times when you walk into, we go to all the conferences, and there's just different services that maybe others don't know about, and then just keeping them with the latest information, what's going on, how things are changing, how the industry is evolving over time, and where we see ourselves going. And Work Comp Central just continuing to deliver that to people on a regular basis, timely. Education, our education department's really expanding to grow.
Oh, great.
Yeah, not just on legal topics, but that will not influence, but impact the medical, the employer community, just everybody, and that anybody can access it and have the same information and understanding of what's going on and where our industry is going.
Gotcha. How do you deliver education now? What is your path now, and how might that be changing?
We do it 3 different ways. Obviously, live seminars. So we'll about once a month do a live seminar on various topics. Our 4 hot topics are rating, case law, MCLE Super Saturday, and then a rating, or liens. Liens. So those are our 4 big topics that we always do on a live basis. But actually, as we're speaking, we're putting one together right now with judges that are here for the latest codes and regulation updates that happen for 2020. So it looks like it's going to be happening in March. So if there's something that's hot that we need to do sooner, like I said, my education department right now is working to put it together. But we'll do them in like hotels or at a facility in usually the Los Angeles area. We try to go up north or go down to San Diego. But lately we've just, while we're rebuilding our education, been focusing on LA. The webinars. So yesterday we had a webinar on human trafficking and how it's affecting our industry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was our second one. It's been one of our hot
more popular.
I don't want to say a hot topic because, but human trafficking is something that we need to understand and how it affects our industry.
Gotcha.
So we just did that, and it was our second one, and it was really popular and getting our people to understand. So we do webinars as well, minimum once a month on topics that people maybe aren't familiar with. We did one last January on mattresses.
Oh, wow.
And people are like, mattresses? But it's really a big line item for some injured workers and how it affects their cases, because there are some mattresses that can range to be like $99,000 because that's how they're going to live the rest of their life.
Oh,
they have to make sure that they have circulation, the bed sores. So that's a really big item that people don't think about. So that's where I'm able, with the platform that I have, to do topics like that and give people information, and that's that access to information or topics that maybe we don't think about, and getting the industry involved in that way.
Yeah. Engaging Work Comp Central through education, through news. Is there any other ways that people listening can engage Work Comp Central?
Well, we know, so we have Comp Laude. I don't know, the Comp Laude Awards and Gala. That's our big event that has become something, and that's an event that's focused just on the injured workers. Gotcha. Where they're in attendance. We did not have a celebrity or keynote last year. Our keynote was the injured worker panel, and people just love that because, again, it brought everybody back to reality of who we're all here for. We had 3 injured workers as well as a spouse, because we also tend to forget not just the injured workers, it affects the family as well. and that was a spouse, and then the kids, and that's why.
Let's talk about that.
The kids, I'm going to lead into Kids Chance of California. So that's the biggest charity our charity of choice for the Comp Laude Awards. Again, because it's a way for our industry to give back to, again, who we're here for. And what Kids Chance does is give scholarships. It's a nonprofit that gives scholarships to children of injured workers that have had catastrophic or significant injuries that it impacts them. And we provide them tuition to either a university, or it could be a trade school as well.
Wow.
It just doesn't have to be a university, and it doesn't have to be a California school. So they can, wherever they want to apply, and then they do the application process, and we'll award them.
I know you're close to that. Do you have any cool stories for us about, of course, a work injury is always traumatic and tragic. But it happens, and when we can give back to the families that have been affected, I'm sure there's some amazing stories out there from Kids Chance.
There are actually a lot of great stories. We have Dwight Johnson's son, Trent, who he just recently graduated from the University of Idaho, and his dad, we unfortunately lost him, in early 2017. He was a double amputee. He was very close. He was one of our first injured workers that attended the Comp Laude Awards. Two different. So he lost his legs in two separate work-related injuries. So, from going to there, and then his son being able to apply and go through school with Kids Chance of California funding to now graduating and being able to essentially contribute, and do everything that he needs to as an adult. So that's one of the great stories. But Kids Chance of California does have a YouTube channel. Oh, okay. So I recommend go watching the stories there, because those kids just, and take a tissue when you're watching it, because you will cry. And actually, I think we're going to bring next CAW. We were just talking about, I think I'm going to bring a computer to have the stories just replaying on loop, so that people here, can see the videos and kind of check the stories out there, because that's what's the most impactful, is seeing the kids.
Yeah.
So.
I know when I talk to people that aren't in this industry, and it is, it's not as well known as it should be, or made aware, but the tragic effects of work injury. I personally have a family member that was out of work for some time, and I watched just the downward spiral. We are built to work. So bringing those stories to life is just incredible. I appreciate that work that you're doing.
Yeah, and empowering the kids, that have had something horrible happen to them and their family, and to give them a resource that maybe they did not know about, or thought that they weren't going to be able to continue on doing. Yeah. So Kids Chance, kidschanceofcalifornia.org. But there are 47 states. So if you're listening across the nation, there are 47 states that are participating. Hopefully all states will be there soon, but that's where we're at. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Comp Laude is about...
Let's talk about that.
Yes, that was what I want to talk about, and especially that nominations are open now.
So we have a date for...
We do. It's November 2nd and 3rd in Huntington Beach, California. And it's going to be at the Paseo Hotel and Spa.
Oh,
Great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, you were there last year.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, but one thing I do want to talk about is nominations.
Okay.
So, and how the full awards work. Do you know how it works?
I would love for you to tell me.
So right now, up until April 6th, we're collecting nominations from the industry. So it's not anything. Work Comp Central is the farthest removed from this whole process. Essentially, we're just collecting nominations. We're putting the teams together that are going to evaluate it. But Work Comp Central does not, we'll also contribute nominations, but our nominations will go through the same process that anybody's nominations that are put in go through. So
and there's a board that reviews the nominations?
There's 3 committees.
3 committees.
So we do have an advisory board that's made up of individuals across all platforms. So we have applicant attorneys, defense attorneys, service providers, TPAs, the insurance carriers, just everybody makes up our advisory board. But so right now nominations are open. The nominations committee is working with, getting more nominations in. But once nominations close, they'll go review them all, and they'll pass or fail them. And there's 7 people on that committee, obviously, so that a majority rules happens. And then from there, so then majority rules. So all of those people that go, pass that level will then come through, and we have they're passed on to the vetting committee. And what WorkComp Central is there, but all we do is we scrub the data just to make sure that the names are spelled correctly. The company names are spelled correctly. So that's the only time WorkComp Central touches it. And then it goes to the vetting committee. Mm-hmm. And that's made up of 7 more individuals, again, so majority rules type of things. But what they do is they'll call. So they're all assigned a batch of the different nominations that have come through. And so they're assigned a batch that call all those individuals, and they ask them a set of questions. So they have 3 questions that we set, and then they also get a free question that they ask the individual. A lot of people really like this component and when they're assigned to this committee, because again, it brings them back to reality, because they'll have an injured worker in their group, an employer, a service provider, an applicant attorney that they talk to. And it just, again, their stories that they have, how long they've been in the industry and what they've seen and go through. The nurse case managers have some, the injured workers are first and foremost, but the nurse case managers that have to go and, help these people live through their lives and get through the injuries, their stories are pretty impactful. So then there's the vetting committee, and then they pass or fail them. And so anybody that passes that's where those finalists come in. So anybody that gets to that last stage then is passed on to the judging. At the vetting, they can also upload or give any additional information that may help their case of why they deserve to become a finalist. And so then we have the finalists that are left, and the judging committee then sits and reviews all the data that's been collected. So months and months worth of information is collected, and the judging committee then will look at all of them. They have to look at all the finalists, and they score them. And again, so that's a majority. So we have, I believe, 5 on that committee, and they review all the finalists. They put a score next to it, and then what happens is at the end of that, once their deadline closes, the winners come out from the highest score from each category. So then that's how the winners are done.
So, and you guys are unique in that, so I appreciate that. Your work and your carrying of Mr. DiPaolo's legacy is not unnoticed, so we wish you the best of luck, and we'll support you as much as we possibly can, Kristen.
Thank you so much for having me.
On.
Yes,
We're glad to have
I appreciate
you.
it. Yeah, thanks.